Welcome back inside the Now Morning Show. Financial coach Alana Alleyne is continuing her mission of financial literacy with the publication of her very first book, Budget Rehab, the Playbook, which she dubbed the ultimate four-step guide to reclaiming your finances and creating a budget that works for you. She joins us on the Now Morning Show this morning via Zoom. Good morning to you, Alana.
Good morning, everyone.
Welcome
Good
back. How are you
morning.
doing this morning? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, and Happy New Year to everyone in Trinidad and Tobago.
So before we jump
I
Before we jump into the book itself, I want us to just kind of reframe the context on which you started this journey of financial literacy and sharing that information with the public. Because I know it started during COVID-19, yeah?
Yes, it started during COVID-19, and I say it would have been a journey since then. We all know the circumstances in which we were faced during the pandemic, where we were marooned at home. There wasn't much for anyone to do, and everybody was worried about their money and their finances. So, one of the initiatives that I would have adopted then was to get online and to teach persons about financial literacy, the basics of financial literacy, budgeting, saving, and how to deal with or handle their debt during that time. From then, it has catapulted into something else where I would have started teaching financial literacy classes on my own and with institutions like CTS College. And through that the experience that I would have gotten over these past few years, I would have helped to teach and coach persons in their finances, which would have helped me to actually develop a step-by-step playbook, which is what I'm here to introduce you guys to today.
Yeah. Tell me about some of the challenges that people who you've been teaching and working with. What are some of the main ones that keep coming up over and over in terms of the challenges that people face when budgeting or when it comes to financial literacy?
I think one of the major challenges is simply how do I make my budget work, right? Most people they know what budgeting is, but to get a budget to work, to get that money to work for you to make the best out of it, that has proven to be a real challenge. In addition to people still find it very hard to save. People still don't have emergency funds in place. People are still not actively catering to their retirement. So when you look at that and the problems that I see on a day-to-day basis from my clients or my students, it kind of propelled me into wanting to document the steps to create a playbook to help persons to better manage their finances.
All right, but you said it's a four-step guide to reclaiming your finances. If I am having struggles and I am a big hardback person out here living life and paying taxes, how long now? How easy or difficult is it to reclaim my finances, to reclaim and get out of debt?
It's never an easy process because how people handle their money is based usually on emotion and it's based on habit. And it's really hard to break a habit. And that is why I would have developed my playbook the way I did. So if you delve into my playbook, the first thing that we are going to tackle is your mindset. We're going to look at those habits, those bad habits that you might have that might be contributing to you not handling your money effectively. We will look at your mindset. We will address the financial mistakes that you've made in the past and help you to confront it. Because one of the major things I have seen within my time is that people don't like talking about money, right?
Yep.
And they don't like sharing their mistakes. And if you get people to start talking, you would hear a lot of people say, "Me too. That happened to me too. I did that too." Right? So there's a lot of things that we do wrong, but it's not necessarily our fault. But once you come with that willing heart to really want to turn things around, then I think that what I have would be a great solution for you.
So the first step is that we need to have a willing heart and an open mind and be ready for discipline. That's what I'm hearing you saying there. Discipline is a
Yes.
main factor.
Because step number one is to address your mindset.
Ah, okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. I want to ask about the other steps one time, but I feel like we need to read the book to get all 4 steps. Are you willing to give me one more?
Well, the last step I would love to share with you, and it's in terms of making your budget work. Now, one of the things I discuss with my students is creating a budget is only one step in the entire budgeting process. It's a process, meaning it's made up of several steps. And the steps that most people attempt to do and they do very, very wrong is to create that budget. But the next thing that you have to now consider is how do I make my budget work? What are some things that I need to put in place to concretize my budget to ensure that it works for me? And that's my final step where I go into some really interesting tips and tricks to help you to ensure that your budget works and that you are able to benefit from budgeting.
Now, Alana, one of the main cries I hear from people is that, if I sit down and I write down my budget and I realize that I'm making less money than I'm spending, how are we going forward? Because the cost of just living sometimes feels so exorbitant. Is it that we should be cutting back on certain things like the entertainment stuff, the future planning? What was one of the first things that you suggest people cut back on?
One of the first things that I would suggest people cut back on is those things that we call your variable expenses. But it's more or less your expendable variable expenses. So in my book, I call it your flexes, right? And when you're talking in Trini Palance, when you could flex something, it means that you can move it, you could adjust it.
Yeah.
And these are the types of expenses that you want to tackle first, right? Because they are expendable. So when we talk about cutting back, that's the first place that you want to start. But I don't teach necessarily cutting back because part of my philosophy is you still have to enjoy your money. At the end of the day, you're working for your money, you want to enjoy it. So instead of cutting back, we look at how do I substitute that item, right? How do I replace it? So even though you may have removed it from your budget in terms of it's not going to cost you anything or it's going to cost you less, what can I do in place of that to still derive some kind of enjoyment? Because we know if we're not enjoying our money, then it's not worth it, right?
Exactly. But give me an example of what you're talking about so that people who are maybe viewing could understand exactly where you're coming from. If, for example, I like to go online and de-stress after work and have a beer, and that is my form of relaxation after work. But that comes at a cost, right? If I remove that cost from my budget, then what do I replace it with?
Well, you can replace it with probably liming at home. So instead of going to the bar, you could chill out at home. You could have a Dutch party, let all your friends come, everybody bring something, and we're still liming. We're still having fun, but it doesn't take as much money out of your pocket as it originally can. So it just requires us to be a little bit more creative in the way that we do things, but it's not necessary that we can't have that thing.
I hear you. If we want to get the book, well, first of all, how much does it cost and where is it available?
All right, so the book costs $200. Right now, we have a pre order special where it is $180. And you can grab this book through two means. You can email me at budgetrehab25@gmail.com to order the book. That is budgetrehab25@gmail.com, or you can WhatsApp me at 787-8362. That is 787-8362. And of course, if you're on social media and you're following me, Alana Alleyne, very easy to find. It's readily available for purchase.
Alana, let me say congratulations on the first book, and we look forward to more. And of course, I know you'll be joining us to share more when you're ready for it. But of course, I want to get a feedback as to how people respond to this book as well, yeah? So thank you so much for joining us this morning, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Not a problem. Enjoy it. Take care. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Alana Alleyne, financial education instructor, sharing about her brand new book, Budget Rehab, the Playbook. Go check it out. We take a quick break and come back with your birthday. Stay tuned.